These are admittedly some strange and dark times, but we can't live in the light all the time. As a great author once said, you have to take whatever light you can hold into the dark with you. And so we here at Illuminated Objects aim to keep bringing a little more light into the world during dark times. Now that we're all staying close to home and the people we love, and we can't go out as we usually do, we thought we might be able to bring a little bit of what we're making to you. So here's a small tour of the Illuminarium and the various objects and devices we've created for you. They all await new homes, and perhaps you may choose to have one to light your home during this troubled time. And if not, we hope what we show you and talk about may bring you some small amount of joy and a little light entertainment. This is our current collection of illuminated objects. And as you can see, they range in wide variety. We have many that are one-of-a-kind vintage objects, typically from the 20s or 30s. Others we can make multiples of. And we also have some as yet unbuilt objects, which we'll share with you a little bit later. And as we complete them, we'll be posting more information. We're always working on something new in the lab, so you never quite know what we'll have on our shelves. But this ought to give you an idea of the sorts of items that we have available. And joining me here today is our own illustrious Mr. Jeff Smith, our chief illuminologist. And Jeff and I have been working together for some 3 years, isn't it?
3 years now.
And enjoyed every minute of it. We have some very special things to show you, so shall we get on with it, Mr. Smith?
Okay.
All right. Now this piece is the very first type of illuminated object ever created. It's our Illuminated Microphone, and it is our most popular piece. Now, one of the things about all of the things that we create is that they have dimmer switches on them, so you can adjust the brightness however you like. So they get quite dim and also quite bright. Now with this piece, there is a little trick you can do with it if you have a little hand-eye coordination.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
Which fortunately works with any song.
Any song.
Recent studies have shown you can improve your singing up to 27%. With this piece, however, we can't confirm it. This next is our very popular illuminated candlestick telephone. And it operates a little differently from most of our pieces. To illuminate it, simply lift up the receiver, and then you can adjust the brightness as you prefer simply by turning the dial. Once you've set it to exactly where you like it, you can just hang it up to turn it off. This is our classic Hamilton Beach mixer. This piece also features a very handsome Coca-Cola glass housing around the bulb. And it has 3 speeds as the original: off, low, and high. One of the things we especially like about this piece is the absolutely lovely star pattern that it makes that's reflected on any surface. The glass is removable, so if you prefer another, you can insert one rather than the Coca-Cola glass, but we find it really rather handsome. This is one of our kinetic pieces. It actually has some motion involved in it, and this is a perfect example of thermodynamic equilibrium in action. What's happening here is the heat from the bulbs is causing the liquid, which is an ethyl alcohol, to vaporize, and that vaporization creates pressure on the remaining liquid and forces it upward into the top of the vial. Left on its own, this will burble and boil away for quite some time. Eventually, the liquid will rise up to the top. However, just by cupping your hand gently at the top of the vial, it creates enough of a temperature differential to return the liquid to the bottom. And that is thermodynamic equilibrium in action. Now, if you were to brighten the bulbs, it creates a bit more heat, and that speeds up the reaction somewhat. As you can see, the liquid in the vial is rising a bit more rapidly. This happens to be mounted on a voltmeter that measures direct current microamperes. It's since been disabled, but it's a lovely example of, well, a bit of a science experiment in an illuminated object. Next, we would like to show you one of our favorite pieces to work on, the second best thing since sliced bread, the electric toaster. Now, these electric toasters are a little over 100 years old, and they were extraordinarily popular, one of the first electrical appliances. Now, our toasters, of course, you can dim and brighten as you see fit with our convenient brass knob. And of course, the doors open to be able to accept some toast. With that, we'd like to give you a little bit of history in the evolution of the electric toaster. This was one of the simplest, earliest forms of the electric toaster. And ever since the days when the first toaster crawled onto land with its little fins, which marked a new era, that actually didn't happen at all. There were, however, advancements in toasters. This next that we'll show you solved the problem that was vexing America for years. That is, how do I remove my toast and flip it over? That stuff's hot. Well, this piece happened to have a revolving door, which allowed you to flip the toast over without having to touch it. Very convenient. But of course, the metal itself is hot, and so a further advancement came that allowed you to use that revolving door with a top handle. That way, you could flip the toast over and not be the least bit inconvenienced, let alone burning your sensitive fingers. Finally, we have the pop-up toaster most of us are familiar with. All of our pieces, we tend to try and retain or at least evoke the original functionality of the piece. And so with our pop-up toaster, you can descend the bulbs just as you would a bit of toast. And with a flip of that same switch, pop them up again. We've often said that with the heat byproduct of our bulbs, that it's likely if you had a piece of bread, you could insert it into that toaster and still make toast once you put it on bright. And so we thought we'd give it a try. If you would please turn up our bulbs, Mr. Smith. Thank you. And off it goes. Absolutely delicious. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our illuminated fan, but not just any illuminated fan. Our illuminated fans actually rotate. The flip of a knob, and the lights can be dimmed or brightened during the rotation. And if you tire of counterclockwise, well, there's always clockwise as well. Now, this fan is a vintage piece from about the 1950s, and it was constructed by our own Mr. Smith very carefully. These have a lifetime warranty on them that extends to our lifetime, so should it ever require servicing, we provide it to you free of charge. One of the most fascinating effects that's associated with our rotating fans is that in a darkened room, they cast 4 rotating shadows of any object in front of them. Absolutely mesmerizing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to introduce to you the Electric City, our most complex and mysterious piece. The Electric City was formerly a potentiometer. This was a device that was used by electricians to measure different types of current, voltage, wattage, and amperage. It was a bit like trying to solve an electrical equation using a slide rule. It's entirely analog. Well, the device has been modified now to accommodate 5 different individual lighting stations, each of which can be controlled individually and then all together by a master switch. This is the master switch. It shows you how you can dim or brighten all the bulbs at once, and each individual station has its own separate control. This allows you to adjust the lights to the preferred texture that you might like in your piece, including the center bulb, which can be adjusted using the large center dial. The Electric City also includes one of our Thermodynamic equilibrium bubblers, which is on a separate control, and that allows you to control the level of heat and light which drives the reaction inside of the thermodynamic equilibrium bubbler. Once you've set the light levels to where you prefer, you can adjust them accordingly. And we've added a special feature to the Electric City, which allows you, with the flip of a brass switch on the side, to put it into mad scientist mode. This mode can be adjusted. It can be dimmed or brightened, as you prefer. When the device is in mad scientist mode, by keeping an eye on the voltmeter, you can determine exactly to what point you can lower the lighting and dim the effect until the lights go out. Generally about 30 to 35 volts. If you wish any individual station not to flicker, you can simply turn the brightness up all of the way, and that stops its flickering. There are any number of optional configurations on the Electric City. A fascinating device to look at. And here we have our very handsome chemistry station, which consists of 2 stations of lights, each of which can be adjusted individually at the top and at the bottom. And should you wish to change the angle of display, it's very easily done with a simple twist. Very popular for the mad scientists in the house and also in the medical profession. Changing the bottom bulb can be accomplished quite easily simply by moving the piece to a table's edge, rotating counterclockwise, and then sliding the Erlenmeyer flask down in order to change the bulb. Once you've done that, then simply slide up the Erlenmeyer flask, turn clockwise, and place it back in its original position. This next piece is another favorite. It's a voltmeter. This is a vintage Weston voltmeter, and in addition to being able to be brightened and dimmed, while you do so, you'll be measuring the amount of current that goes to the bulbs. It reaches a full maximum of about 120 volts, which is exactly what we paid for. So thank you to the Electric Co-op for providing us with our exact voltage. And here we have our lovely Illuminated Globe. It is, of course, fully dimmable and can become quite bright. This also provides you with a rare opportunity to own your own planet. And unlike most planets, should you be displeased with it, you can simply erase and start all over again. Here we have our very elegant Glassdoor lantern. This piece has always reminded us of an old gas lantern. Absolutely lovely, and of course, fully dimmable. The lighting shows beautifully through the filigree at the top of the piece. And to remove the bulb, simply open the glass door in the front. Now I'd like to show you one of our really rather extraordinary pieces. This is a piece that has an audio feature built into it. It is a Philco Model 84B from about 1932, also known as the Baby Grand radio. It's a beautiful design, and these radios have an excellent sound to them. You can adjust the brightness with the radio dial as you see fit. And by flipping the switch on the side, turns on its audio function. You'll notice there's a backlight behind the radio dial when the audio function is on. This is the master volume control. And it features a Bluetooth connection. So you can take any device that can send a Bluetooth signal
I never cared much for
and put it through your Illuminated radio.
I never winked back at
Get quite
fireflies.
loud.
But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see.
And will very easily fill a room, if not a house.
I never went in.
These pieces have a very big, warm sound to them. They were built beautifully for acoustics, and they are very warm, especially in the range of the human voice. This piece also features a direct line in. So if you don't have a Bluetooth connection, you can use a patch cord to take from any audio source you wish directly into the device.
Cause a spark that's a 4-alarm fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that last for beginning.
These are two examples of a relatively new addition to Illuminated Objects, our Thermodynamic Equilibrium Bubblers. Now, many people ask us exactly what's causing this effect. The heat and light from the bulbs vaporizes the ethyl alcohol inside the lower vial. The vapor creates a pressure, which causes the remaining liquid to rise up to create the boiling effect. And as you can see, that effect can be speeded up or slowed down based on the brightness of the lights. Eventually, after a long period of time, the liquid will all boil up to the top. However, it only takes just a cup of the hand to be able to lower the liquid down to the bulb again. These are rather striking pieces and have some very elegant features. For instance, you can still store your personal effects inside the box, and should it perhaps bump against a wall behind it, no worries, we have a built-in safety feature to prevent breakage of the vial. From above, you can see what almost looks like lightning powering the vaporizing effect. The uniquely shaped holders for the vial were actually pulled from an induction motor, the most common type of motor used in fans and other rotating devices. Occasionally, people will tell us, "Yes, it's lovely, but where will I put it? I don't know if I have the room." Well, this small but elegant piece may just do the trick. It's our miniature gramophone. It is adjustable, so you can display it however you prefer, and fully dimmable. It also gets quite bright. Best of all, you can practically put it in your pocket. This is a piece in which we take particular pride. Our spring microphone. It's an original design, and this is based on the original spring microphones, which are extraordinarily hard to find. They're quite rare. So we did some meticulous research and homework and came up with our own design. This piece can be dimmed or brightened as you prefer, of course, and it's quite lovely from the rear as well, as you'll see the light shine through the grill piece. Another one of our more popular pieces is this lovely curved glass lantern. When you move to one side or the other, it shows gorgeous reflections on the curved glass. It is, of course, fully dimmable, and the bulb can easily be changed simply by opening up the top. Well, this concludes our little tour of the Illuminarium for today. We'd like to thank you for watching. And for now, this is Dr. White and
Mr. Smith.
reminding you to take good care and to carry your light in the darkness.